Good evening and welcome to the Bobby Moore Stand. I'm Gary, this is Chris, and this is your live transfer update in happy July. That's right, isn't it, Chris?
I have changed my whole stance and opinion on West Ham recently. I've decided to be positive like you. I think that, in all honesty, I've watched some of your videos this week.
Cheered you up.
Yeah, and I think in addition to the fact that I've had a really tough week, personally and professionally, and I just kind of think, why do I choose? And it is a choice, it's always a choice. Why do I choose to be negative over something that I love? And I don't want to be like that anymore. And I think we need to accept West Ham for what it is. There's only so much that we can do in terms of change, which we can't really create too much change. We can't suddenly magically give the club millions of pounds to go out and sign players. Yeah. We can't do those things. And I think, in my opinion, negativity just breeds negativity. And really despite what we lack in terms of quality in our squad, as a fan base, if we go into this new season collectively and with the overall consensus feeling negative, that's not going to bode well for us. So I think we have to try and be positive. And I'm choosing to be positive because, frankly speaking, Gal, there's much more important things in life. Now, I love West Ham. We all love West Ham. Everyone who's watching this now loves West Ham, and we live and breathe it. But yeah, at the same time, there are more important things in life. And, you look at the situation with Diego Jota this week, which was tragic. And, condolences to his family and his wife, his kids. I mean, he's got young kids, and it's just so awful. And also to the Liverpool fans. And it kind of sometimes makes you put a bit of a perspective on life and football. Yeah. And I was saying to you earlier, Gal, as well, right? So this Monday marks a 20-year anniversary of 7/7, the London bombings, and I lost a friend in that, right?
Yeah.
And whenever this happens, whenever I get to this time of year, and I do think about this frequently, and the story behind this, but whenever I get to this time of year, and I always just kind of reassess and reevaluate where I am in my life, and think to myself, well, why do people get so angry over the most trivial and menial things? Yeah, West Ham's important to us. It's our passion. It's our hobby. But no, I choose to be positive now. I will, and I'll try moving forward. But yeah, I'm on board with this now, Gal, because I don't want to have this negative. There's no need for it. Life's too short. Life is too short.
Oh, it is. I mean, it's just, I don't see the point. I genuinely don't see the point in being interested in West Ham and talking about West Ham unless you're sort of enjoying it, right? Yeah. You can get hung up on everything, like the David Sullivan thing. Look, let's just say everyone I know, including you, including everyone I know, wants him gone, right? They want him gone. But what's the point in fucking repeating it all the time? Because it ain't going to make him go. I've been repeating this since I was on the other channel, probably a year or two back as well. And I've done so many shows on here that people told me to shut up about it because I was getting a bit boring. I was getting a bit sick of my voice. So, so look, that's it. You know where I stand on him. You know where Chris stands on him. We want him gone. On that note, if you would like to give him a dose of the crabs, please subscribe to the show and hit the like button. For every like, there'll be another crab. All right. So yeah, please just do that. That'd be great.
Man, you know what? It's exhausting, isn't it? It's actually exhausting. Yeah. And I think I wanted to kind of do some shows this week as well, but work has just kind of overtaken my ability to actually do that and free up some time. And I know you've obviously been off work this last couple of weeks. But yeah, it's totally exhausting. And I have kind of reflected on this and thought to myself, why am I doing it? We said when we're going to go into this new season feeling positive. And I think we did a show the other week, and I did like a couple of odd videos on TikTok or something like that. Yeah. And I was a little bit negative, a little bit. I mean, I was a bit annoyed actually by the whole Canoe situation and everything else. But I just kind of think to myself, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I even doing this? Am I supposed to enjoy it? I'm supposed to be enjoying it. And I feel like maybe what it is, Gal, is that subconsciously I'm being influenced by a lot of negativity that I hear out there. And it's making me become negative as well. I've got my own opinions. We agree on that. We know about Sullivan. We know about the lack of funds. We know about certain players that have down tools that don't want to be here anymore. My opinion on this is very simple. If players don't want to be here anymore, whether that's Kudus, whether that's Paqueta, Alvarez, whoever it's going to be, then go. Just go. Because we just need to bring the passion back to West Ham. We need to get behind the team collectively. And people can moan about the manager. They can moan about all this stuff. But is it going to change? No, it's not. And for as long as he, at the very top, is in charge, we just have to accept it. Sadly, we do.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'll never accept it, but at the same time, and nor will you, but at the same time, if give me something I can get my teeth into that might help him go, I'll definitely do it. Right?
Yeah.
You do it. And that don't include people telling me on Twitter, oh, you're a fucking, you're a support for buying your season tickets. You're just a Sullivan lover. And so I've been told that. Right? Like, fuck off. What's it to do with you, mate? So yes, let's leave that negativity. Last time we mentioned that twat's name tonight. And let's talk about things a bit more fun. So good evening, everyone in chat. Evening, Mean Claire and Bodger, 2 mods. And let's start off with a story. Before we get to transfer news, there is loads of transfer news. Bloody hell, I don't know how we're going to get through it. Be here all night. But anyway, we'll try. First of all, as posted on Twitter today by Nigel Khan, this is May the 5th, 1900, was when West Ham United Football Company Limited was incorporated by Arnold Hills and his founding members. They issued 4,010 shilling or 50p shares. Gone up a bit in value since then, isn't it? And it happened at the actual incorporation. It happened. The first meeting happened when they pulled together the articles of association, etc. 55 Barking Road, and you will remember I did a video on the other channel, I guess, with Nigel when he took us on a walk down there. And yeah, the building's still there and everything else. Quite amazing. Yeah, so Arnold Hill started all this stuff off. His vision, by the way, be nice if this could come true, but his vision was to sell 2,000 of those shares to supporters, half the club. He was ahead of his time, that guy, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, I've always said the club is temporarily owned by the owners. Effectively, it's always going to be our club. It's the fans' club, right? Always will be, always should be, always will be.
Yeah, it should be. Also, I went down to Black Lion last night for a drink with the Stop Hammerstein mob, and I had an interesting chat with some guy who's a won't tell you what he does, but he tends to move in some quite elite company, and he attended the when did we play Blackpool in the, or was it Preston? No, I think it was Blackpool. It was at Wembley, right? When did we play them?
In the playoff final.
In the playoff final, yeah.
That would have been in what, 2020? Christ, was that 2011? 2011 now, I think it was.
It was between 2009 and 2015. I just haven't had time to look it up. But anyway, I remember being there that day, and I remember it was 3/4 or more West Ham. And we all remember the support. And we had this conversation, a really interesting conversation. Stop Hammer Time is our podcast, so the presenters Phil and Jim were there. It was like the original West Ham audio podcast from years ago. So they were there, and it was this question about, do you think West Ham are small fry? It's like, no, I fucking don't. I think we potentially could be, not including Arsenal, Man U, and Liverpool. I exclude them because they're giants, right? They're giants. So they're in a different league in terms of the size of club, and that's down to history and achievements, I guess. And their global support is immense. You only have to go. I was in Germany watching a West Ham Arsenal. I'd never seen so many bloody Arsenal shirts in my life.
Yeah.
So that it kind of struck me that night that there's, I've done the same thing with like Spurs, for instance. Not a Spurs fan in sight. When you go to India, places like that, it's all Man United and Liverpool, all of it, all around Asia and everything else, right? So, I think Chelsea and City of late have had success, so they've got big, but I don't consider them bigger than West Ham at all. I have always considered West Ham to be a big club, and it really offends me when people put us down and say, we're in for a player. Why would he want to come to West Ham? Well, there's one massive reason to come to West Ham, and it's our fan base. Our fan base, a lot of them have walked away because of Sullivan, but they're still there. They're still there. We get a new owner, they'll come back. You've only got to look at what happened in Prague to see just how many West Ham fans there are willing to come out. You only had to go to the FA Cup final against Liverpool to realise there were as many people and many fans outside the ground who just came for the day out as there were inside the ground. But anyway, back to the original story. This guy went to the Blackpool game with David Dean, the former Arsenal leader. And they're looking around at the ground. They're in the posh seats, obviously, looking around at the ground and realise it's like 99% claret and blue. And he said to him, David Dean said to him, he said, you know, it's the worst kept secret in football that if this club was, you know, had owners with some ambition and some insight, they could turn into a real giant.
Yeah.
And it's the first time I've heard, and this guy, I know he's speaking the truth because he, you know, well, it's basically a fact what he's been involved with, right? So he's not the sort of guy to bullshit, put it like that. So, and I just had to agree with him. I said, I totally agree, because outside of those three clubs that I just mentioned, we are at the top. We support wise, we're at the top of the rest of them. I think all the support we've got. Look at the people we had in Prague, based on zero fucking success for years, right? How many fans would Spurs or Chelsea have if they dropped out the top flight now? Yeah. I mean, we saw it with Chelsea last time they dropped out the top flight. They're playing in front of 12,000, right?
You don't need to convince me about this, Gal, because
no, I know.
I think it's, and I think by and large, most people objectively actually do see West Ham as a big club. Yeah. But it's the people typically coming from some of the London clubs that will try and basically downplay us. You know, the Spurs fans, the Arsenal fans, the Chelsea fans, right? They'll, oh, you're a small tin pot club. They'll say that. They base it off the back of the fact that we haven't had a great deal of success domestically, nor in Europe, right? Aside from obviously the Conference League. That's their kind of measure with regards to why they would say we are a small club. But the reality is, as you pointed out there, you know, if those big clubs, or so-called big clubs, the Chelseas, the Arsenals, the Tottenhams, if they did drop out of the big leagues, drop down, you know, had the same types of experiences that we had by all accounts, would they still retain the fan base that we have had done and that we have actually grown over the years as well? And honestly, I think I know the answer to that. I do. I mean, certainly from Chelsea's point of view, because I've never seen a fan base that is full of so many tourists. They're all
new fans. They're all new fans. Yeah. And we know City used to have a decent support, but it was in the stadium, right? And they probably had quite a few around Manchester. But Manchester and London, we've got a fair bit of London, you know, especially the east side. We've got all of Essex. We've got a fair bit of Kent. We've got, you know, we are, you know, we even strains to Suffolk and Norfolk, right? Now I know you get little dabbles of Spurs in there and stuff like that, but be under no illusions. If we had success, people would fucking come out of the woodwork like there's no tomorrow. I mean, it'd be incredible. Plus, if you had success, there's all the fucking new fans as well.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Like I say, you don't need to convince me. I know this. We all know this, right? Every West Ham fan will know this. I don't necessarily get frustrated or annoyed when some of the other opposing fans will say, well, West Ham are a small club, because they just say it out of spite. That's all it is. It's all out of spite. You know, when we won the Conference League, everyone straight away jumps on West Ham. Oh, it's a, you know, tin pot trophy that you've won and third tier European trophy, whatever. But the reality, but the point is that they would have loved to have won that Spurs before they won the Europa League. You know, of course they would have done. So it doesn't really bother me.
Qualify it though. They won a light version of the Europa League. They didn't win the Europa League that we got to the semi-final of. There was no Champions League flow down into that competition.
Yeah, exactly. It was a much weaker version of that actual competition last year. So, but yeah, no one really kind of brings them up on that, do they? And frankly speaking, I've never really been that type of supporter that starts digging out other fans to say, oh, you're a crap club or you're a small club. Frankly speaking, I don't really care about those clubs to even bother commenting. All I care about is West Ham. So I just think some of these fans are idiots. And with all due respect, even like, for instance, on Twitter and also on, you know, Instagram, things like that, I get a lot of private messages from Spurs fans in particular, and I put something up the other day, and loads of people messaged me privately saying, "Oh, you're deluded. West Ham is shit, and blah blah blah. We're not your rivals.
They fucking wish.
You're not our rivals." And all this kind of. It's like, well, hold up a minute.
They're just children.
Yeah, but it's like, do I even need to kind of quantify my reasons behind why I'm saying that you are rivals? Because you actually are, and we are your rivals. You finished below us in the Premier League this season, okay?
Yeah.
If you look at the size of the fan base, I'm sorry, but you do not have the fan base that we have. You don't. Yes, you've got a better stadium. In terms of heritage, I'd argue and say West Ham have got better heritage than Spurs have, than Chelsea have.
We've got an amazing heritage, and the one thing that we've got that nobody else has got is that kind of pure, proper working class element, right? And that's what, you know, that really gets, that's why we've got so many supporters in America, and we have a lot of supporters in America, because they love all that. They love all that underdog stuff, right?
And people can relate to that stuff, Gal, as well, because this is, when you think about football back in the day, it was much more of a working class type of sport. It's changed significantly over the years as a result of obviously Sky TV and all the money and everything that's been ploughed into football. But it always is and always will be. You look at the supporters that turn up for games, typically at West Ham, we're all working class. We're all working class, apart from those in the posh leagues.
Exactly. Someone said, he also said last night, no, somebody else said last night, he said, in America, you look at it, the New York Yankees, they're like the Man United. They're the legendary side that have won stuff and everything else. He said, nobody fucking likes them. But there you go. That is what it is. But yeah, let me know. I'm interested in you guys in the chat. Let me know what you think. Well, how big do you think West Ham could be? I mean, my position, it sounds like Chris's position as well, is outside those three that I consider giant clubs. Surely we're on that next list, aren't we? I mean, I'm not talking about ownership, blah blah blah. I'm talking about the potential of the club were it to be run properly. That's my question. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's the key thing. You've hit the nail on the head in terms of potential, because we are, and I don't always like this kind of expression, but I do feel that we are a bit of a sleeping giant, Gal. We have the infrastructure there in place. We have the raw bones to actually build something that could be really big. We do. Yeah. We are a big club in terms of its fan base, but it's not realised in terms of what we have out on the pitch and how we run as a football club. And I think should those things change, should that mirror our fan base, then I think we could be as big as any other club out there. I do. And people was, oh, you deluded your shit. I don't care what other people think, right? No, because most of these people are just complete idiots that don't even understand football, don't watch football, and don't even understand their own club, let alone to have an opinion or remark on other people's clubs that they support. So,
well, another thing, just one more thing on this. Another guy said last night. He said, "We're talking about Frank at Tottenham." I said, "I think he'd do quite well." He said, "Really? Do you reckon?" He said, "Still, a lot of them loved Ange, because he tried to play football." He said, we've got one massive thing in common, right? Us and Spurs. And it's true. Both like watching football. Decent football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel that Spurs are, I mean, you could argue and say West Ham have been a bit unrealistic in recent times. But I think a lot of that has been borne out of the fact that we had some success in Europe for like three years. But I think Spurs fans are even worse, because I think to some extent they've always felt they had a bit of a divine right to be in and amongst it. I don't think we've ever felt that way, because we've been accustomed to realizing that we haven't had a great deal of success over the last 45 years, right? We haven't won one trophy apart from the FA Cup in 80. So I think Spurs fans are slightly different from us in that respect. Yes, they want to see good football, but I think they are a bit more, and I'll say I don't care, and probably I'll get beat, but I think they are deluded. You only have to listen to idiots like Jamie O'Hara, which I do on the odd occasion.
It's the modern fan, Chris. It's the modern fan. It wasn't like that. For instance, when I was growing up, and I was quite young, we had a couple of Spurs fans at school. Never really any animosity with Spurs fans back then. It developed through the 80s, I think.
Do you know, badly? One thing I actually noticed is funny, a point you just raised there about when you were growing up, right? So when I was growing up as a kid going to school, most of the kids that supported West Ham, it was a family thing, okay? It followed them through their family, right? From their dads, from their grandfathers and so on. It passed through the generations. But I must admit, I'm not saying this is the case with all other supporters, but a lot of the supporters, if I really think about this and look back, they didn't necessarily support the team that their dad supported or their granddad supported. I remember going to school and to high school and to college with people that actually supported Liverpool. I thought,
me too.
Liverpool, Chelsea, Liverpool
secondary school, no Chelsea, never a Chelsea fan in either of my schools, never a Man City fan. There was one or two Man United, because they've always been popular for some reason, in my secondary school, none in the primary school. I think, no, Chelsea, nobody wore a bloody Chelsea kit there. And in secondary school, no, primary school, there are a few Spurs shirts. Secondary school, nah, you didn't really know who the Spurs were. So I suppose it moved on even while I was at school, to be honest.
Yeah, and
but Liverpool, loads of people supported fucking Liverpool because they were winning everything back then, early 80s.
Absolutely. Right? Well, absolutely. So for me, I've always felt that West Ham is a genuine family club in comparison to so many others. Not to say that Liverpool aren't, by the way, because I actually think Liverpool are, but a lot of those fans in the South were following just off the base of success. We never did.
I just want to explain to Trudge, right? Trudge, take yourself out of this era. Just assess West Ham based on its history, its fan base, and its potential. Ignore where we are as a ground. Nobody likes London Stadium. Just think somebody came in like that video I made a while ago, bit of a fucking wild one about Todd Boehly. Since then, he's come out and said I bought Chelsea because they're the biggest club in London. Chelsea are London. It's like, fuck off, mate. What are you talking about, idiot? Right. So I got him wrong. But anyway, that kind of picture that I tried to draw there, that was based on this thought. I genuinely believe if someone with money and vision can understand what West Ham is, and we're not, you know, we've never achieved what we should have achieved. Never. We've always got so far and then sold our players and fell on our ass. Always happened, right?
But we never walked away from the club, though, Gal. We never walked away from the club like so many other fans in other clubs have. I mean, of course, we know that we've lost season ticket holders, and I understand, but that is, you know, by default, it's part of the regime that we have running the club.
Sorry to interrupt, but people are getting the wrong end of stick. Shut up, Brian. I'm not talking about this fucking board, right? I'm talking about, give me an answer to the question. The question is, how much untapped ambition do you think we could have? Forget the owners, right? It's a hypothetical situation about, please don't bloody go on about the owners. I've explained that up front, yeah? Anyway, look,
we all know they lack ambition. I think, to your point, Al, I think it's really just a case of, you know, the raw essence of the club. How much potential does it have? And I think it is huge. It's absolutely huge if we had the right owners in place. But, you know, that's ultimately my thought process, and it always has been around West Ham. I think we are a massive club. And also, bearing in mind, right, you know, I know as much as we kind of laugh, well, not laugh, but people sometimes dislike Harry Redknapp, for instance. You know, he said publicly so many times, West Ham is a massive, massive club. Okay, massive club. So many ex-players have gone on to other bigger, so-called bigger clubs. They've said the same thing about West Ham. They know West Ham is a massive club. They know that we have the ingredients there, the raw ingredients to become much, much bigger than what we are in terms of winning things, in terms of being higher up the league. We do. But sadly, we've just never had the right owners to facilitate that growth that we should really have. But we don't. Do we crave it? Yeah, we do crave it, but we don't demand it. You know, I've never demanded it, Gal. All I've demanded was to go out there and enjoy myself. Truthfully, that's it, because that's probably why I'm a West Ham fan in the first place, through that and through my family.
Someone said earlier, I don't know who it was, sorry, want us to lose our identity. No, me neither. But I think, again, we are a sort of sleeping giant anyway, right? I don't think we would lose our identity, because there wouldn't be, new fans would be outweighed by the old fans. Imagine how quick the others would come back. The guys who walked away, how quickly they'd come back if we had a good owner and some potential to move into a decent ground and all that sort of stuff, right? Imagine that. So that's the only, yes, Brian. So he's endless under a board as ambition. Absolutely, Brian. Yes. Sorry. Yeah. Right. So let's just one more for Claire. Nan and Grandad went to West Ham in the 1950s. Mum and Dad met West Ham in 1966. And then there's my kids. Most of us fans, generational supporters. Yes, same here, right? Not exactly that story, but it's generational in my family. It's generational in your family, Chris. And I've passed it on. I've passed that apparent relative misery on. Right. Hopefully, it will turn good one day. Yeah.
But so, even if it doesn't, I'm proud. You know, I'm proud that my kids have. Well, I say my kids, probably more so my son. My daughter's never really kind of got into football in West Ham. My son's probably worse than me, actually, Gal. You know what he's like. I think he's definitely worse than me.
That's right. No, he's obsessed, Freddie, isn't he? So, Brian, this is accurate. There's another thing that was mentioned last night. We've always had shit owners. Always. I mean, even the ones where we got sort of chink of light with fucking Magnuson and the other one, we get the first bankrupt billionaires, don't we? So only at West Ham. Anyway, look, let's we've got a few bits of news to move on with until we do transfer. So, Chris, yes, today you met the new shirt in person, right? What was it like, Chris?
So before I kind of answer that question,
was it like that, Chris? Was it like that?
Yeah. So before I answer that question, with regards to me actually seeing it in face, I'll tell you what my perception was before I saw it, you know, physically. Not a huge fan, right? Not a huge fan at all. For me, I think, like a lot of people have already said, and I've read a lot of what people have been saying on social media. I don't like the big boil written on the front. I mean, it looks ugly. I mean, to your point, I think you said it looks like an independent kind of sports shop in your high street back in the day, and it kind of does, because not many people know who Boyle Sports is. Not that significantly important. It does look like a sports shop rather than a betting company. Boyle Sports, right? Anyway, it looks horrible. In terms of the actual kit itself, never been a fan of Umbro kits. I think they've done us dirty year after year with our kits. Very rarely do we have a nice kit. For me, there's just not enough claret on it, Gal. There's just not. Sorry, not blue. There's too much claret. There's too much.
An abundance of claret.
Yeah, there's not enough blue on it. And I looked at it today, and yeah, it kind of it just reinforced my opinion on that, because I looked at it. I was going to buy it, Gal. I was actually going to buy it. Right? It's stupid. I was going to buy it. I thought, yeah, you know what? I'll buy it. It doesn't matter. It's a West Ham shirt. And it was a pop-up shop in Chelmsford, in John Lewis. They had a West Ham pop-up shop in there, right, temporarily. Right. And I was asking them about it. I said, just out of interest, how are people taking to this kit so far? You know, you're selling a lot of them. They said, yeah, it's kind of mixed reviews, really. Some people just don't like it. Some people really like it. And I think that it is. It's a subjective thing, isn't it, with kits?
Question, though. Have they changed the shade of the claret again? Because it looks redder.
Yeah, to me, I thought it looked darker. But again,
in this photo, right, you can see claret behind, right?
Yeah.
In the front, it looks much more red.
I must admit, the color did look a little bit different, but then I can only really give an accurate answer on that if I had other kits in front of me and compared the color. But to answer your question, I'm not a fan of the kit. Not enough blue on it for my liking. What else? I don't know.
Here, have a look at this, right? See, on the right-hand side of this photo, you've got a claret arm there, and behind it, you've got what looks like a Charlton kit in red.
It's just a picture, mate. You know how it's.
You reckon? Because there's claret there in the foreground. It looks like claret, and in this side, on the left-hand side, you've got claret in the background, and you've got what looks like red in the foreground.
Yeah, it's not red. It's not. I wouldn't necessarily say it's like red. It's just, it does look a little bit different. For me, it does look a bit like what a lot of people have been saying. It looks like pajamas, particularly
training kit. The training kit.
Funnily enough, actually, so I looked at the obviously the home kit, and I thought, should I buy it? But they didn't have the one without the logo, so I didn't bother. And then I looked at the training kit, and honestly, I preferred the training kit over the first team kit. Right, I did. I much preferred it. I thought I'd much rather wear that than, you know, I thought the training kit was better. The thing I don't really understand with this, though, Gal, is who the heck is approving these designs that they then go out and manufacture and flog to the fans? Because it's the most simplistic kit design you can think of. It doesn't seem as though there's been really any thought around it either, does it? It doesn't seem like there's been any thought around the actual
no
kit
design
itself.
effort whatsoever.
You look at the mock-up versions, Gal. You look at the mock-up versions. You know, it happens every season. You know, this is what the kit's going to look like. Some of them look lovely. I'm like, yeah, you know, how is it that we can all probably come up with much better ideas and designs than the actual manufacturer of the kit? I can never quite get my head around. So
I love that comment from Mark Pendleton. It doesn't scream 3 points.
You know, it doesn't. And the best way I can say this is, and I hate to say it, and I said this to you like during the week, to me it looks like a championship team kit. It does. And I hope that's not going to be the case, but it does. But look, ultimately, I really don't care that much, because, as I said to you earlier on, they can all be running out in mankinis for what I care. As long as we're playing well, we're doing well, and we're getting results.
I agree.
I don't care what they wear.
No.
As long as it's claret and blue, and in this case, 99% claret and 1% blue, I don't really care. I just want West Ham to do well next season. So if that's our kit, that's our kit. The beauty of it is, you know, like back in the day, you'd have a kit for a good few seasons. We've only got this kit for one season. So, you know, New Balance, I'm sure, will come up with something next year that will be a lot more, you know, kind of appealing aesthetically to the eye, I'm sure.
So it's like Umbro went, fuck off then. I'm not going to give you our apprentice to design this kit. He's a Spurs fan.
Say that again.
I said, it's like Umbro has said, we're going, it's our last season. Fuck you. We'll put our apprentice on this one. He's a Spurs fan. Yeah.
Well, it feels like that, doesn't it? I mean, it really, really does. But like I say, I don't really care too much, honestly.
Gaza said, the bloke in the store in Lakeside said they haven't sold many, or they haven't hardly sold any. Yeah. It does look cheap and basic. Anyway, look, let's get off the crappy.
Do you not just hold up with the kit? Do you not think? I mean, do they not actually kind of share these designs with fans? I suppose they don't, right? Because they have to keep it secretive to some extent. But surely it would be within their best interest, if they want to sell and market these things, right, and ultimately make revenue from selling these kits. Surely they want to get, I don't know, like a focus group can say, yeah, that will work. No, that won't. You know, but like I say, it doesn't seem like they're just, oh yeah, you know, that'll do.
Do you remember?
And that's what it feels like.
Do you remember when the Cardiff City owner decided to change the strip from blue to red because it would appeal to his Asian market? Yeah. I wonder.
But who's this appealing to then? What market are we appealing to with that kit?
Well, I don't know, but you remember that comment I said to you earlier about the Asian market, Chris?
Yeah, but that look,
I'm talking about if you're going to turn it more red, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm not on the same page with you on that one. I don't think this would appeal to anyone. In truth, I just think, I just think just looking at that kit in general, even if you're a West Ham fan or not. And actually, I saw something on social media. I think it was yesterday, and they were comparing all of the teams' new kits that have been released so far. And West Ham was by far the worst one. That's what everyone was saying about it objectively, not as a West Ham fan, but just as a football fan. No one liked it.
Yeah. Now, before we move into the transfer rumours and everything else and gossip, and there's some new stuff that's just come in as well. I just want to re-explain to you that, again, if you don't know how football transactions are done, it's done like on HP now. You split, you typically buy a player and you split the payments over 5 years, because the reason is if you buy someone for 25 million, you pay 5 million up front and then you pay 5 million a year thereafter until the end of the contract. And the reason for that is everybody's got to keep the amount they spend under PSR in each financial year separate. So if you think about it, if we had a 20 million budget to spend now, we could buy 100 millions worth of players. Yeah. I don't know what the rest of the finances look like, by the way, and I'm not even going to go there because I'm not interested. I just want us to buy players. I don't care how we do it. But when people can't jump to that conclusion, because I saw a comment just now, how can we spend 25 million on a keeper when we need a striker? It's like, well, we ain't. We'd be spending 5 million on a keeper. All right. So it's a very different set of math when you do that, as for people in the States. Yeah.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I mean, I very rarely have known in recent years a club to actually fork the whole fee up front. It's highly unlikely. It's typically done, on the drip. It always has been. Well, not always has been, but recently it's certainly been that way because the fees are so high. No clubs can afford to fork out that type of money in one hit. They can't.
There were exceptions to the rule. Arsenal, strangely, agreed to pay us over 18 months for Declan Rice, which was very, very odd, but nobody would do that. And when you're talking about what we're going to talk about next, Mohamed Kudus, there's no way Levy would be paying it over 18 months. Daniel Levy, the leader, the much loved leader, loved from our perspective because I think he's a tosser. Spurs hate him. He has tried to pull a fast one with West Ham. He always tries to squeeze the pips a little bit, Daniel Levy, and he's tried to play us on this one. I think he's determined. I think he's found he's smelt blood in the water, and he's decided to lowball the offer because he thinks we're desperate for cash flow. And I think that my personal view is that sponsorship deal, whatever came out of that, has kind of sorted us out for the time being. That's my view. It could be wrong, could be right. But anyway, we've started making bids for players. If we didn't have any money, we wouldn't have, right? Because I know some of them are a little bit lower than the asking price, but they're close enough to they might get accepted, right? So this says to me that there is stuff going on. We are making bids, and there have been several reports of bids. And I'm trying to keep on top of all these bloody transfers, but I'm going to just quickly sweep up a few. Chelsea are interested again in Kudus, so that's good. So what we really need is a bidding war between Chelsea and Spurs. It won't be much of a war. Chelsea will win it. But we really need 65 to 70 million for Kudus, don't we, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I would be gutted if we got less than 60 million. But going back to your point around Levy, obviously trying to lowball West Ham, I understand why, because we would do the same thing. We would do the same thing because when a club like ourselves pleads poverty, of course, you're going to get the vultures coming in trying to snap up players, for basically less than what their actual market value is. So I get it. I don't. We do the same thing. Come and look at our owners. We do it all the time.
We did it. That you mentioned it last week with Vlasic, right? As soon as that Ukraine war started, we said to the Russian club, "We're not paying you." That's taking advantage of another club situation. Exactly the same as Levy's trying to do with us.
Yeah,
but still haven't paid them.
No, but I get why he's lowballed it because he's going to test the water with West Ham. I would do the same thing, Gal. If I was a club owner, I would. As much as I dislike Spurs, I'd do the same thing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Malik Diouf, the one that almost definitely will happen. It's being denied that it's close and everything else, but this is Kretinsky's club we're buying from. I think it's Kretinsky that's making sure the price is right. He wants to come to West Ham. He will come to West Ham. He's a good player. I think we'll get him. one that's resurfaced as well. These are just like the headline ones. I'm not going to go into I'll go into the detailed ones afterwards. Joe Gomez has surfaced again, 25 million. Apparently, we're doing some due diligence on there's sort of established protocols for checking out injury records, and he's got these repeated hamstring problems. We don't want that to happen. We've seen that before with Antonio, and we lost him for a lot of the season when he first arrived, didn't we? It only takes a little sprint, doesn't it? And it's all over. So I think we need some sort of security on that. 25 million for a very injured player, even though he's a very, very good player. We know that.
Well, he is, and also he can play in a variety of positions, in the back line. So he can play right back, he can play centre back. I think he's someone that, if he stayed fit, he'd be a fantastic signing for West Ham. But that's the key thing, right? That's the question. Can he stay fit? And you've got to kind of probably say no, because if you look at it from Liverpool's perspective, would they be willing to let a player go of his quality, particularly when they're going to be challenged for titles, they're going to be challenging for honours? They can't necessarily rely upon, their two first choice centre halves. They need someone like that there as well. So would they let him go unless there was a problem with him, which is obviously his fitness? So I think he's a good player, like you said, but that would worry me. I don't want to be signing players like that anymore.
It would worry me because look, there's no resale value of him on him. So I think 25 is a bit strong. What I'm wondering is maybe we could do a deal where we buy him and get the other kid on loan at Tyler, what's his name?
Morton.
For the season, and then we've basically got a natural backup. It's like insurance against a hamstring injury, in it, or whatever, right? I think also it's two players that know each other from their old club, help them settle more quickly. Yeah,
or based on appearances as well, because that will obviously, that has a direct impact in relation to how fit this guy is. Because if he's fit, he walks into our team. Simple as that. Of course he does. He's better than what we've got.
Nobody that plays for Liverpool is unfit. It's not going to be a thing, right? Not like at our club with.
Well, not fit. I'm talking about injury. Yeah, injury-wise, right? So, if we could get him for a relatively decent fee, but with add-ons based on achieving milestones, appearance milestones, and I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
Because there's less risk around that. There is, but I wouldn't want to see him being right. Okay, that is the option. We need people that we feel are definitely going to stay fit, as opposed to people we hope will stay fit and free of injury. But that's just West Ham. That's the kind of, I think that is typically, when you're looking at established players in the Premier League that we know can do a job, that is typically the sort of baggage that is being carried by some of these players we've been linked with. Slight injuries, out of form, not getting into the first team. Unless we go into the European market.
Joe Gomez. Yeah. Sorry.
But no, good player. But
right. So we've signed Cummings. Now, Ardon, Jashari, Club Bruges, Milan are interested now. I don't think that's going anywhere. Onyedika, your favourite. We're back in for him. Apparently, we're talking to him again over him. Apparently, he would consider. He's very interesting coming to West Ham. So we'll see. And while we're on the pool name 11, if only the German ladies captain was a man, Chris. I mean, we'd be right in there signing him, wouldn't we? Her name's Minge.
Cracking name. I know.
Sorry about that. No,
I've known about this player. I've known about this player because not that I follow women's football per se, but I know that he's been on it. Well, she has been on FIFA or Foot, and Fred packed her. Sorry, he said, "Great." He goes, "Dad," "There's a plaque called Minge." But apparently, like I said to you, Gal, she's great on the balls, So I'm sure she has some quality. What a name though.
When I saw that this morning, I had to laugh.
Yeah.
Honestly, probably means something completely different in Germany.
Well, look, to put into perspective, so I think because you've done a lot of work in Germany, and I've been to Germany a lot for business as well. And I remember I met one guy there once, and his surname was Wanker. His full name, and this was years ago. His full name was Michael Wanker, and I couldn't quite get my head around it, because obviously I don't necessarily think it's a common name, but it is a name. And I suppose if you look at it on LinkedIn or something, you might see it being quite a common issue. I suppose it is. But he came up to me and said, "Hey, Chris, Michael Wanker." I'm like, how can you not laugh in those situations? There's some funny names over in Germany, don't they? They do.
I had in the post office years ago, they were a customer of ours. One of my first jobs, this was Concept Computers, 1985, 88. I was there in Holborn. I picked up the phone one day. He said, "Hello, this is the post office. My name's Ronald." Right. Okay. What's your second name? McDonald.
No, stop it. No.
It's true. It's true.
Really? My good God.
He called up all the time after that.
I told you one of the first guys.
Yeah, that was
business with.
Yeah.
One
is
of
it
the first
Minge?
guys.
Is that what it is? It's not Minge.
Well,
I bet it is.
We would pronounce it Minge over here, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we would.
But
we would.
Going back to funny names, Gal, you said Ronald McDonald. I think I told you before, one of the first guys that I ever basically did business with in Germany, like over 20 years ago. His name was Bernd, B-E-R-N-D-T.
Yeah.
His surname was Hamburger. Burnt Hamburger.
Burnt Hamburger.
I mean, again, these names are amazing. They're just brilliant.
Get together with Ronald McDonald, shouldn't he?
Yeah. I remember I met with 4 people once in Austria, and each of their surnames basically was kind of like essentially a phallus, right? I had Cock, I had Pecker, I had them all going on. It was it was hard to keep a straight face that day. You know, it really was when I'm meeting all these people with names of basically Johnsons. It was impossible.
Your juvenile sense of humour, Chris. That's what it is.
Clearly it is. Yeah.
So let's talk about most exciting development. Now we've been talking about last few days Mads Hermansen, the keeper, the 35 million keeper from Leicester, who apparently we put a bid in on, and he's not going anywhere at the moment. Apparently Chelsea are back interested again for him. And so today, what pulls up? A tasty little Suzuki, Zion Suzuki, 6'3" keeper,
very good,
30 million. Palmer, once described as the best young player in the world, age 22. Great praise indeed for a keeper, right? Chris, do you want to take this one as he is?
Well, I didn't know that he was, lauded as one of the best young players in the world. I've never heard that. I've seen him play, and genuinely I've seen him play, and just to kind of back up that and to validate why I'm saying this is because, as probably but a lot of people know that I'm half Japanese, right? So I do watch a lot of Japanese football in the past, so I do follow a lot of Japanese players. I've been crying out for West Ham to sign a Japanese player because I think one thing that they do bring in general, and it's I think it's just how Japanese people are brought up, is that they are incredibly hardworking. Hardworking. You tell me a Japanese football player that is lazy.
You've seen examples of that. You've seen examples of that every time you've seen a Japanese player. That's why they've got to elite level relatively quickly for the Asian market, right? And stayed there as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think with regards to him, so he's a good keeper, Gal. He's actually a good keeper. He's not first choice of Japan. Just to put it out there, he's not first choice. He's like second / third choice, but he's got a decent number of caps. As you said, he's still young, and goalkeepers typically don't peak until they reach to their latter 20s, maybe even early 30s in some cases. So I think there's potential with him. I know he's a good shot stopper. I've probably seen him play 2 games in truth. Not much more than that. But I always kind of follow the progress of some of these players. Like the sound of him. I do like the sound of him. But again, it's one of those things that he might be a good goalkeeper in the Italian league, but can he cut it in the Premier League, where he's going to probably be tested a lot more, than what he's over there. So I just don't know whether he's good enough for us. It's a trick.
I think as we saw, this is the thing where I kind of, in a way, prefer the Leicester one because it's less of a risk. He's played in the Premier League already, and you kind of know what he does, right? He is a bit dodgy on crosses, though, Leicester keeper. Zion Suzuki, left-footed, rapid off the line, distribution suits build-up playing, and apparently we're in advanced talks with a fee being negotiated. Listen, if he's 30 to 40 million and Hermansen is 30 to 40 million, I mean, it's 30 to 40 million, but like I said, that's 7 and a bit, 8 million, isn't it? If it's 40 million, it's 8 million a year over 5 years. If it's 35, etc. Right?
Yeah,
Draw your picture.
But I must say, and I'll go back to the mentality of Japanese players. As I said, incredibly professional, incredibly respectful. Bringing a player like that, with that type of background, that type of
good for the dressing room, very good for the dressing room.
100%, Gal, 100%. And I think bringing back that level of respect, which I think sometimes is lacking so much in football in general, but bringing it to West Ham, I think, can only be a good thing. Like to think that he'd be able to cut it at West Ham, because I'd love to see a Japanese player at West Ham. I would. Gives
you 2 goes in the World Cup as well, doesn't it? You can get 2 shirts. When one's not out, you can wear the other one, can't you?
Mate, I always follow England and Japan in any major tournament. I always do. So yeah,
I barely follow.
Let's see what happens with that.
Barely. Right.
Okay, I probably relate more to Japan than I do with England these days. In truth, I probably do.
This one, I thought this player had gone to Sunderland already, but apparently not. Georges Mikuatadze. Easy for you to say. Leon, 24 million euro. striker, apparently a false 9. 11
Is
goals
he
in
Georgian?
34 appearances, like almost 1 in 3. Everton,
Mm.
Palace, Sunderland interested. I don't know anything more about him. This came in sort of late tonight. Penalty taker, good finishing, anchor play, aerial duels he likes. He likes that. He's 176 centimeters tall, which is shorter than me. All right. So he must be very fast, I'm thinking. He's right-footed.
Can't say no great deal about him, in truth. Heard the name. Can't say no great deal about him. Yeah. I mean, if as you say, this one's
he's sought after.
Press. Yeah.
He's sought after by quite a few of our rivals. We've spoken about Hermansen already. Apparently Chelsea back involved. Diouf, we've spoken about him already. I'm pretty sure we'll end up signing him. Rocco Wrights.
Sorry, Gareth, just to put it out there, I was, as you know, the first person to kind of mention his name.
You are the Channel ITK, Chris. You know that. You are. You're also an ex-West Ham United employee, aren't you, Chris?
Oh, I am. I'm not the ex-WHU employee, you know. But no, I mean, I think he's a good player, actually. I do, and I was looking into him a little bit more after I had that conversation with you a couple of weeks ago, and he does look. He's rapid, mate. He's rapid, you know, and I think he's going to bring so much energy to West Ham. I mean, down that left-hand side. Yeah, I think for us, I mean, I think that's like a must-have. We must.
I love players like that. I love players like that. It reminds me of. It brings back memories of when Jonah Lomu ran through the. I don't know rugby, but he ran through one of our defensive players, and basically he ran through him like he weren't there. This guy just disappeared. I think when you've got somebody who's an outstanding sort of athlete, very, very fast, physical, that's going to be such an advantage. If he can cross the ball, it'd be even better.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's something that you need to have in the Premier League these days, right? You have to have. I mean, it is about having athletes in there, but if they've also got the technical skills to back that up, then I think he could be a really good player for us. He could be, and it seems like a likely move as well, bearing in mind the links with SUZUKI and Kretinsky and so on. So I actually really hope that one happens. For me, it wasn't necessarily a priority position, left back, unless of course we let go of Emerson, which seems it will likely happen at some stage. I think there's other priority positions, but I do like the look of him, and I hope we sign him.
Me too, absolutely. So Duracell, Rocco Wrights, Duracell. Yeah. Now we know that Borussia Mönchengladbach. I used to fly into that airport regularly. Nice little airport. It's like you just straight through customs there. Easy, right? He's a very good pressing midfielder that they do not want to lose. 15 million. West Ham reps have met him. The club not keen on losing him. That's all I have. Tyler Morton, Liverpool would allow it. We know that. Ajax.
Why is he so cheap, Gal? Why is that Rocco Wright so cheap? 15 million.
Well, I don't know. He's 23. He's a playmaker. He's good at great positioning, great ground duels, very, very good. No outstanding weaknesses, it says. So, no, I don't know, Chris. I don't know.
It's weird, isn't it? Yeah, no, because I don't know the answer to either. Because I looked him up as well, and he's at that age where you think
it feels like a snip.
It does, and you always feel like there's a catch. When you can
loves a recovery tackle, loves a recovery tackle, and loves a quick vertical pass. He lacks Premier League power is the one. I don't know what that means. I mean, who knows? Who knows?
Lacks power.
Lacks Premier League power, but I don't know how you quantify that anyway. So it's someone's words, not mine.
Yeah, I pass, mate. Pass until I see him play properly. I can only tell you what I've read about him, and he seems like a potentially a snip at 15 million quid.
I totally agree.
Honestly, you can barely get a squad player these days for 15 million quid, let alone someone to adds value straight away into a first 11. But
it's like 30 million. I said this. 30 million's the new sort of base fee, isn't it?
I saw your video yesterday, actually, and you're right. It is true because every time I see a player linked with West Ham, it's either 25 or 30 million. Yeah, I mean maybe that's because of the the kind of pond that we're fishing in. I don't know, but I must admit you're right. Why are they all 25 to 30 million?
I think as soon as a Premier League team shows interest, it goes up to 30 million. So I'm surprised Borussia Mönchengladbach ain't done the same, to be honest.
25 to 30 million is not a huge amount of money in today's world, right? It's not. But then I think the market's taken a bit of a dip as well recently. I think transfer fees have. I mean, they were inflated significantly over the last few years, but I think they have dropped down a little bit by comparison. Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily mean they're not good players. I just think that perhaps there isn't as much money floating around these days.
Well, maybe it's just that it's a sort of player. I don't know. I mean, I would have thought that'd be a sought after position. A playmaker. Everyone loves a playmaker, don't they? Tyler Morton spoke about him yesterday, so I won't go into him again. But just that Liverpool would allow it. We know that, and Ajax and Braga are interested. That's pretty much the same update I gave yesterday. Nothing on Charlie Cresswell yet. What do you think about any comments on those?
Charlie Cresswell, yes, because I've seen him play. I think he looks like a very good young player. And if memory serves me right, so he's ex-Leeds, isn't he? Then he was playing over in France for Toulouse. I saw him playing some of those games recently as well. I like him. I mean, he's tough tackling, isn't he? Which is good. Yeah. Something you always want in a defender. So, I like the fact he's called Cresswell again. That's quite nice to have Cresswell back at West Ham. I mean, he's a young English defender. What isn't there to like? If he's got potential to step into the Premier League, I only wonder. I don't know exactly the reasons why he left Leeds to go to Toulouse. I don't know. Is it because Leeds are? I'm not entirely sure the backstory on that one. I don't know.
No, me neither.
But he looks decent. He looks decent. That's all I can say, really, Gab. Yeah, I like the sound of it. Some of these players, actually, I must admit, and I was kind of moaning a bit about this the other week. I was thinking a lot of these players I haven't heard of, and some of them I haven't really heard of. I recognise their names, but I've been more pleased with some of these links recently because they seem to be, dare I say it, more realistic in terms of how much they are. But also, I like the age of a lot of these players we've been linked to.
Yeah,
I like some of the positions in which they play. The only area that does concern me in terms of the links, or more to the point, the lack of links that we've had, is strikers, because
I know.
What's going on with that? Because for sure, I mean, we've said this all along, right? Midfield, 100%, that's got to be a priority position, and also up front, massive priority for us.
Yeah.
Why are we not being linked with strikers? Is it something that we don't know and they're keeping hush? I mean, possibly, but well, that really, even the media. When you think about it like this way, sorry to interject the gap, but if you look at it this way, we're being linked with so many other players. Anyone would know, anyone would know, if you look at West Ham, we desperately need to get in a striker. You'd think the media would be linking us with loads of strikers, but they're not.
I think when you look at the striker links here, though, I mean, what we got here, we got John Arias. He's a right winger, and he right winger come striker, 27. You could say he's another. He's not a striker though. He's a. He would provide width if Bowen moves central, but I want Bowen out wide. I don't want Bowen playing as a striker. The one I mentioned tonight, Mikuatadze. Yeah, it's a fucking difficult name.
Great pronunciation.
There's only one Mikuatadze. Georges Mikuatadze. You'd have to get rid of some of those consonants. Maybe knock off a vowel or two. Give it something with Georgie Mickey. Hamza. Fucking all these names. Igamane. Igamane. That comes from goal.com. Oh no, it's 12th of June. It's old. Alexander Mitrovic. Yeah. Al Hilal. Weren't we nearly signing him before?
He's getting on a bit though, isn't he now, Mitrovic? I don't know how old he is. Maybe I'm wrong, but
we love an old striker.
Mitrovic, he's been just think about the same striker. So he's been at Newcastle, he's been at Fulham. I mean, he's
Troj knows him. Igamane. He's good. He's at Rangers. Good. Randy knows him as well. Oh yeah, I'm saying other teams' players. Honestly, really shouldn't.
I don't know a great deal about him. I've got to be honest. I don't. That's one of the games I'm not familiar with.
The horror show, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, that can't happen. And the one that I still want is Evan Guisson.
Yeah, I know you've been waving his flag for a while, haven't you?
Since January, Chris. Since January.
Yeah.
Before I got bored of the last transfer window. Yes. So he would be, I think, perfect for us. But yeah, out of all of those, I want a proper striker. I don't want a fucking false nine or you know what I mean? I mean, Miku, he sounds pretty good, that Miku Tadze. Oh, terrible name. I'll learn to pronounce it if he joins us. League 2, League D, top scorer, turned false nine, clever movement. So again, he plays for Lyon at the moment, 20 to 22 million. So he must have been League D top scorer before he went to Lyon, I guess. Yeah, fits the Potter striker type of mold apparently. He drops in and allows wingers to invert, all that sort of nonsense. So
I think we are looking, I must say though, when it comes to strikers, typically a lot of the younger strikers that we're being linked with for at least say circa 10 million plus, they all seem, and I know that all transfers are a gamble to some extent. To some extent they are, but they do seem as though they are players that are absolute risks because they're typically playing in the second tier of French football, or they've maybe only played a season in the top tier of French football, and I guess that's a sign of the times that we're in right now as a club, that those are the types of players that we are being linked with. I kind of like it in a way because, you look at someone like Diafra Sakho that we signed back in 2014. I mean, he was a great player, aside from the fact that he was injury prone. I love watching
as well, wasn't he? Valencia was good.
Yeah. I mean, he was good. I mean, he cost a bit more. I think Sakho was quite cheap, wasn't he? Diafra Sakho was quite a cheap buy for us. And I didn't even think he would be a first team player for us initially straight away. But yeah, if we can find players like that, I'd be really happy with that. Because do you remember when we had Diafra Sakho and Enner Valencia playing up front together? They had like pace in abundance.
Great times. Both of them could score a goal. They knew where the goal was. I mean, Valencia at times was a cracking finisher. Sakho was just good all the time, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, and we played them up front together, and they caused defenses all kinds of problems. I mean, I can remember actually when they first came to West Ham, and we were playing them regularly up front together. And I think Diafra Sakho went on a run of about 6 goals in a row, across 6 games. And I thought, geez, this guy's a world beater. If we can find players like that, would be amazing. It really would.
Man City just been fined for about 200 breaches of FFP, 35 million. Is that it? Really? They've got away with it then, because that is just loose change to them, right? Is that what it is? Is that what people are referring to? That's fucking crooked. It's wonky. Look at what they're doing with fucking Paqueta and us, right?
No further updates on that either, is there? This is just
no. They're just making us wait, and one day they're just going to go guilty or innocent, right? Why they're doing it, I don't know. He's Moroccan, Higuain, so might get. That's a good point. Trudge might encourage Aguerd to come back.
Mate, can I just say something, right, about trying to convince players to come back or trying to convince players to stay? Yeah, like I said at the top of the show, for me, I like Kudus as much as I love him. Like, I know that he's a quality player. No, I loved him as a player. Say love past season, I loved him as a player. But honestly, I do not want to be convincing players to stay at West Ham anymore.
No chance. It goes back to how you feel about West Ham. I don't feel that we should be ponces. I don't feel like we should be getting to the beginning of the transfer window and the owner going, "So mate, got no money, right? It's fuck off." What we just stop taking the piss.
I think I can understand, right, if a player wants to leave. So let's say I'm trying to play devil's advocate here for a second. So if you look at Mohamed Kudus and you look at what happened last season, we didn't have a good season. So maybe a player like him might be questioning our ambitions as a club. So on that basis, I can understand perhaps why he might consider leaving, because maybe he want to join a club where they're competing in the European competition, for example. But let's not forget, a lot of the reasons why we underperformed so significantly last season is because of Mohamed Kudus. Exactly. So I actually think that a player like him that's got, he's still contracted to the club for a number of years. I would like to think that he would say, I need to owe it. I need to leave West Ham on a high. I need to leave West Ham in a position whereby I've finished and had a great season rather than not even a mediocre season, a poor season at West Ham. So for me, if we're trying to convince Mohamed Kudus to stay, that annoys me a bit, because I think he should be actually trying to do the opposite. He should be convincing West Ham why he should be staying. Because after the season that he's just had, I'm sorry, but why suddenly is he bigger? That he seems to think he's bigger than us. Like, he can have all the power to go move to whatever club.
He's not bigger than us, and the fact is, he's still got this problem. You can use him in one way. That's why I'm worried about him going to Spurs, between me and you, because the way Frank will use him will suit him. Right?
Yeah,
he plays very similar to the Moyes style. It's a better version of the Moyes system. He gets forward with pace very, very quickly. They just bypass the midfield and get forward quickly. That would be perfect for him. He'd be on the shoulder of a defender. But he does not lift his head ever, and he does not look for opponents. Barely does it. Look at how many crosses he got in last year playing on the wing. He doesn't do it. Slightest chance, slightest sniff. No matter where he is, he'll have a pop at goal. Usually badly.
I think with Kudus as well, though, Gal, like sometimes you have to question what is being asked of him as well by the coach. And we don't know that, right? We're not privy to that. Maybe they are expecting different things from Kudus in comparison to what we expect of Kudus. But one thing I can't forgive Kudus for is the lack of effort in certain games where he's literally just standing there. And it's not something you can always see on television. It's like, as soon as he gets the ball, he might look electric. But when he hasn't got the ball, it's the work rate
all the time. He just looks fucking depressed on the pitch, right? You just think,
it's sulking. The work rate off the ball, the ball. And that's one thing, actually, I must say that Paqueta was actually pretty good at in more recent times. His work rate off the ball has been pretty good. He has been working hard.
He loves football, Chris. He loves football, and I don't think he's ever deliberately not tried, Paqueta.
Yeah.
I think he got to him mentally a few times, but he's obsessed with football. He comes alive on a football pitch, right?
It'd do the same to anyone in that situation, though. It would do.
I mean, it would. Of course,
I kind of give him a pass on that basis, and he's still kind of innocent until proven guilty. But I can understand how that would impact him and his mentality when he's playing football, because that's a lot to take on. A lot on your shoulders.
See, I don't know, actually. Too good for the Spuds. Again, interesting conversation I had last night where they were talking about Kudus, and again, it was like Jim Grant was just picking out holes in his game, and it was true. Everything he said was true. Because it could also be, don't forget, it could also be that he had a great sort of first half of season for us when nobody knew who he was. Moyes was using him in an absolutely right, sort of impact role. And then suddenly, when Moyes moved him over to the left, he started getting shut out. And then this season, he's been shut out from the beginning because he's effective in one place on the pitch, I think. And he's not a number 10. He never could be, because he doesn't lift his head. So how's he going to be a number 10? He never looks for a pass. So he's good on the right-hand side, on the shoulder of the last defender, maybe with one or two to beat. We'll forget that goal where he beat about fucking 18 players. That's never happening again. That's like once in a blue moon. But what he's good at is kind of the thing that Bowen's good at, which is you play it and he can drag it inside very quickly, keep get the defenders on their wrong-footed and spank the ball home. That's what he was doing, isn't it? Largely.
I must admit, I did often think to myself, and I don't know whether I'm completely off on this one, whether or not Kudus could even play as a striker for West Ham.
Yeah.
I did think about that, because I think, his ability to turn a defender. Yeah, I'm just saying, though, but when you look at how he was shut out in games, right, if he was playing on the right or playing on the left, when you had teams doubling up on him or whatever it was, I just think that, he can turn a defender, and I think he can cause problems physically. He does. He's quite imposing. He is, despite his size. He's quite imposing.
I don't think he's better at it though, Chris, than Bowen. I mean, Bowen even had a good season last season when we were crap most of the season.
I'm just saying. I mean, I genuinely don't know, because we've never really played him there. I think we've been playing him in kind of weird positions sometimes, perhaps positions that he's not actually strong in. We know that he's best on the right. It always kind of puzzles me a little bit, Gal, because don't get me wrong, I was delighted we signed him, and when he was kind of on fire the season before last, he was like a fantastic player. But when you look back and you think, why did we sign him?
But the team was on fire at the time. The team was on fire at the time, right?
Yeah, but why did we sign a right winger when we had
it was
a
stupid.
right winger?
It was stupid. I said it at the time. It was ridiculous. What I don't know. I don't know why we kept on signing players who belonged in the same position. It just didn't make sense to me. Then we bought, again, it's the one criticism I'll say about the young Brazilian kid. What's his name? He's a right winger.
I know. It doesn't make sense. Three
it's
right
the one
wingers
position we didn't bloody need, Chris, isn't it?
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I mean, if anything, we should have been looking at someone on the left-hand side. Should have been. I mean, I know we got Somerville, but it made more sense to get more strength on the left-hand side than suddenly got three right wingers. Right wingers, and then you've only got one, out-and-out left winger in Somerville. Who else did we have? No one. Cornet, he went out on loan. We had no other left wingers. And in fact, Cornet wasn't always on the left either for West Ham. Funnily enough, for some strange reason, when he was playing for Burnley, he played in off the left. When he came to West Ham, he's playing off the right as well as the left. I mean, he's strange. Anyway.
But I think we are inclined to judge him based on that purple patch that he had. And someone once said to me, you're not as good as your best moment. You're not as bad as your worst moment. You're kind of somewhere in the middle. Yeah. About sport in general. And that might be what it is, because that's where he ended up kind of being, isn't it? A bit mediocre in the end. And he might have not been getting his own way, couldn't do it, and gave up, right? He didn't want to ruin his own reputation. It might have been purely selfish that he decided to do that, right? Right, let's move on, because we've got to get through this. Vitic, it looks like Martin Vitic, Sparta Prague, looks like he was like a backup of a backup. I think he was like number second or third choice anyway. Centre half, isn't he? Who's not very good under pressure. Looks statuesque. That's the one. Heard he's off to Bologna apparently, or they're very close to him. No resale value for John Arias, as we said, 27 years old. He does have a rapid burst of pace, but just to remind you, he can, I love these words, can fry under pressure. Fry. He won't get any pressure in the Premier League. Don't worry about that. Oscar Meninguez, Celta Vigo, 20 to 25 million. Apparently talks are still ongoing. No bid. Yunus Musa inquired, but no bid. Forest also interested. That's that big. That's the American one, isn't it? Yeah, the American one. He's a big lump. He's a big.
For Arsenal,
he looks like a wrestler. That geezer.
Was he not Arsenal?
Apparently so. Yeah.
Am I right in that? Because the name sounds familiar.
I think he was in the youth side. Yeah. Yeah. Someone will confirm in the chat. And yeah, this what Trodger just said here. This is what I would like to see. I'd like to see us start bullying other teams again and not be afraid, because it felt like we're afraid a lot of the time.
Oh yeah,
especially defensively, right? The way we crumble with people like Kilman, who are just like, it doesn't take much, does it, for him to fall to pieces, and Mavropanos and people like that, and especially the new guy, the French geezer. What's his name? I've forgotten his name. The fat one. No, sorry, did I say fat? Todibo, yeah. Apparently, he turned up to pre-season.
Fat one.
Yeah, well, yeah. Apparently, he put a tweet out on. Well, it was either Twitter or Instagram where he didn't look in the best of shape. Put it like.
Oh, really? Okay.
People were reacting to it. Yeah, I say he's fat. I mean, compared to me, you know what I mean. But he's right. Richard Rios. We made a bid. They want 30. We bid 25 million euros.
Of course.
Again, he's another playmaker. He does take direct free kicks. Ooh, imagine having a direct free kick taker. Good long balls. Takes me back to the Porno 11, doesn't it? No outstanding weaknesses. I love it when it says that, because it's rare, you know, to say no outstanding weaknesses like that. Right. Have you got any other people, Chris, that you'd like to mention? Honourable mentions?
No, I think you've covered most of them. I think
there are a few new ones. If you hang on there a minute, I think there are a few new ones tonight. I think. Here we go. Lazio left back. Was this from today? Yes. This was from 1:58 today. Lazio left back Nuno Tavares continues to pique the interest of Premier League clubs, with Leeds United and West Ham United emerging as its most keen suitors. The 25-year-old has recently completed a permanent transfer to, I love it when they use their nickname, to the Biancocelesti, I don't know, after spending the previous campaign on loan from Arsenal. Maybe it was him that was or maybe it was both of them, I don't know. A season of two halves. The Portuguese encountered never-ending physical problems during the second half of the season. Oh, God, it sounds right up our street. Get him in. And there was one or two others. Let's go. Chris, take us for a few comments while I have a look.
Yeah, no,
for other transfer stories.
One thing I was going to say, actually, so other clubs are doing business right now, and I noticed even Sunderland seem to be getting in the race, actually, signing some good players as well, right? Which is kind of why, I mean, they need to, but we really, really need to. I mean, we really, really need to.
Great. I agree with that. He is a more moldable asset. That's what I see Diouf as. I see him as raw materials, fucking good raw materials as well.
Yeah, I mean, he may not be. He might be ready to go, mate. I mean, 6 foot left wing back. Jesus Christ.
No. He's got attributes already. What I'm saying is about fitting into the system. He's gonna take. You know, he's got to learn the system. So bloody bring him in. Stop picking over £1 million, which if you work it out is 200 grand this financial year.
So here's one of the other links you just spoke about just now. The Randy's saying, so Rios is not a target according to X. Supposed to be going to Inter Milan.
Rios.
Yeah. Rios. Yeah.
We put a bid in apparently, so that came from a good source as well. Whatever. But yeah,
I think people generally
could be one of those
right?
We tried. Yeah, of course it could.
I mean, Arsenal reject. I mean, we're talking about the lad over at Milan, right? I mean, it's hard. It's a bit unfair to say a reject when ultimately he was only playing for their youth team, right? Didn't get into their first team.
I never see the sense in saying that. You know, if someone's not done too well at Chelsea or an Arsenal or a Man U or any other club in the Premier League, right? What do you want to call them a reject for before they've even pulled your shirt on?
Gal, come on, right? Look at how many examples there are of players that you could have said at the time they're rejects. Mohamed Salah, Kevin De Bruyne at Chelsea. There are so many. So I think that's really
De Bruyne failed at Chelsea miserably, didn't he?
look at someone like another example. Look at Serge Gnabry, who was at Arsenal.
Yeah.
He was a relatively mediocre player there, and then he went over to Germany, and he was a world beater.
There's
So
much
I think
that can
and
affect
players.
you.
Of course there are, and players can peak at different times as well. They can absolutely thrive in certain types of teams as opposed to the team that they originally started off at.
It could be falling out with teammates, don't fit in the position that you're being utilised in. It could be you don't like the manager, he doesn't understand you. It could be you don't like the environment. It could be anything like that. The reason that you fail
so many things.
Could also be you're a bit shit, but
it could be. And I think that is the case for on a lot of occasions.
There's a very good point, Claire. AWB is a Man U reject. Yes, he is. What a fucking reject he is.
Yeah, well, a lot of United fans, mates of mine, and they weren't happy that he left. So I don't think you can call him reject. He's done a good job for them. Going back to Mark Alexander's comment, right? So what about the son of Daniel Cummings? So he's not going to be a player that's going to walk straight into our first team. He's going to be in the under 23s. I don't see he's not. I mean, he didn't even get to Chelsea. The Celtic first team. I think in a Champions League game he came on as a sub. But aside from that, I think we need to be looking at a couple of seasons before he's going to impose himself. Hopefully it's sooner, because we would love to see a youngster come through. I don't think he's someone that we should be looking at for this season. Definitely not yet. Yeah, we need other players in. We can't be relying on a free transfer, like that from Celtic. Can't.
Yeah, I thought as well this evening that the Tavernier thing had come back, but it hasn't. It was an old report, So again, good player. We'll have to pay for the bloody nose to them, though, wouldn't we?
Trod, you're right. Masuaku, hold up, Gail, hold up. You're taking my comments off. So,
sorry,
stop.
Go on.
Arthur Masuaku was a big. Do you know? I must admit, I really like Masuaku.
Me too. Until he got a new contract.
I thought going forwards he was fantastic. Defensively, he was a bit suspect, but some of the skills
that he had. Ball away.
Yeah, he was so skillful though, wasn't he, Gal? He was so skillful.
He was.
I mean, it was very strange. But then I think actually his position that he started off as a youngster, I think he was actually a winger as opposed to a fullback, which proves when he was at West Ham because he was much better going forward than he was going back. He was a good player. Yeah.
Don't forget, as I said earlier, if you'd like the owner to get a dose of the crabs, please subscribe to the channel. And hit like. And you one crab for every like. So please do that now.
I'd love to see Sullivan crawling with crabs. Well, he probably is, to be fair, right? I mean, if you look at what he's been dealing with.
More crabs, Chris.
Yeah.
Has anyone mentioned Madueke going to Arsenal? No, it's Arsenal.
That's been an ongoing conversation for a while, because they were looking at Madueke.
Interesting, Jay. Interesting.
Yeah, it does make room for Caduce, but
also, I didn't want to mention this, but look, it's again terribly. I mentioned about Jota and everything else, and I don't even want to bloody mention this, but again, it might be Liverpool might enter the race at some point as well if there is a race. But like I said, is he really elite level? I'm not so sure.
I think he can be.
Elite level includes attitude, Chris.
Yeah, no, I get that. And I think if he is put in the right environment, an environment where the demands on him are going to be a lot more. And if I'm being honest with you, the demands on him at Liverpool will be a lot more than what they have been at West Ham. They will. He knows that he's not going to be a big fish in a small pond. He might see that at West Ham. Yeah. He might see that at West Ham. So I think he would be. I actually think that of all the clubs that we've ever seen Mohamed Kudus linked to, or not that I would want him to go to, but if I had a choice, I'd rather he go to Liverpool over Chelsea, Spurs, Arsenal. Of course I would, right? I wouldn't want him to go to another London club.
For sure.
But I'd rather him go to Liverpool. I don't dislike Liverpool. I never have done. I think they're a proper club. But you know what? I just hope that we get the right money for him. That's what it all kind of comes down to at the end of the day.
I don't know, Paul. I don't know. Apparently Suzuki roared into London early. No, he's
zoomed in, didn't he, guys? Zoomed in. Fucking hell.
We've opened advanced discussions. Apparently, advanced discussions. So, must admit, I love the idea of getting young multiple players. I keep saying it till I'm blue in the face. I'm bored with these established players who earn too much money and think the fucking world owes them a living, and they try when they want to, if they want to. I want players that can be moulded. That is what Potter needs. Let's be honest. He didn't flourish.
He does.
Too much with that team of established egos, did he?
No, he didn't. No, I'd be inclined to agree with you. I think he probably is a better coach with younger players that are more malleable than having established players that think they know it all. I'm not saying that's the case of all West Ham players, but yeah, I would agree with you. I think he would be better in that respect.
Also, just one more thing I could do. So I think you get to pull this stroke once of being sulking your way out of a club. If you pull it twice, like if you went to Spurs and played half a season and sulked and forced to move, he'd be blacklisted from here to China, right? No one would touch him. It'd be career over. He would be going to Saudi then, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's have a quick look on news now, because that's my last port of call, to see if I can find any late-breaking stories. See if there's anything new out there once I've got past the bloody adverts. Obama seals loan exit from City. It's a good one.
Where's he up to?
I don't know. Who cares? I will open it and have a look.
Well, that was a silly move for him, wasn't it? I mean, let's be honest. As soon as he went to City, it was just like, you're never going to get into that team, mate. What are you actually trying to achieve here? You've got to kind of know your talent, right, and know where you are actually going to get into a team. And I never really got that one. I didn't.
Divin, mate. We could have told you that, Divin. We could have told you. He's where's he gone? Premier League? No. I don't know. It doesn't bloody say. These fucking articles, they drive me mad. If you go down past all the adverts, articles, lose the term loosely.
Hey, Mark, do you really think that DCL, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, is actually going to join West Ham? I must admit, that does worry me, because he put his farewell message out to Everton, didn't he? I think last week, it was.
I heard that he said he's playing Premier League. I think he wants a break in a sunnier clime.
Well, I don't want him, mate. I do not want us to be signed. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think if he was fit, he'd represent a decent signing, but he's proven that he's not.
He was a good player for a couple of seasons, wasn't he? But then he's literally just stopped playing games and stopped scoring goals completely when he has.
I think as soon as he came back from that long-term injury, he came back and he just was not effective in terms of actually being clinical in front of goal. He just couldn't score a goal. So is that really what we need? No, it's not. It's not at all. I think I just want to see us linked with a striker that just seems realistic, that also can bang in at least, say, realistically, I don't know, 10 to maybe 15 goals a season would be great. It would be really, really nice for that. But
well, there's rumor. There's another strong rumor tonight. Because look, we're all pretty sure the Malik Diouf one's going to happen, right? That's one. West Ham green light to complete double worth 38.5 million, and that's Malik Diouf and Oscar Meningez. Or Mingueza, or whatever. I thought it was Meningez, not Mingueza. It might be Mingueza. I might have fucking... Yeah, it's probably me. Anyway, it begins with Oscar M. That's the playmaker, isn't it? Oh, no. Celta Vigo defender Oscar Mingueza celebrates after scoring his team's second goal in La Liga. Oh, God. I'm going to laugh.
I want us to sign this Japanese goalkeeper. I do.
It's just moving. It's so difficult, Chris, to talk about these transfers. I'm going to persevere, right? I'm going to carry on. I'm going to maintain my list diligently every day, several times a day, to kind of see what's happening and what's moving on.
Well, it changes all the time.
It's just a moving target. It's a moving target. I tell you what, every couple of hours, the stories are different.
Yeah.
So you have to really check the news before you make a show, just before you make a show. Just in case there's something new out there. I've not known one like this before. It's bloody manic.
I think most transfer windows are like this with West Ham. I mean, honestly, the amount of players we link with, it always seems to be a lot more players we link with as opposed to what other clubs are linked with. We always are. And invariably, most of them don't really ever come off. It's someone a bit left field, someone we weren't really in the races for.
It is Stoke, where Obama's going. Stoke. How mighty have fallen the Britannia Stadium, dear God.
That's probably a good move from though. That's probably his level, girl.
It's a nice, look, it's a nice little stadium to play at. I think nice people up there, nice area. I like it.
Yeah.
I stayed on a farm once up in the Potteries with the kids. Nice. Right. On your dicker, Jay is saying he wants on your dicker. We all want on your dicker. Yeah.
Just for the name alone, we want. I mean, all jokes aside, I want him as well. You know, I look loads into him, and he looks like a player, mate, and he looks like someone that we could really, really use at West Ham.
He looks like a real deal, doesn't he? In terms of in terms of raw talent that can be molded into a system and hopefully be effective, but physical attributes look perfect, absolutely perfect.
He does, but you know, again, the big problem that I've always got with this stuff, Gal, is we've been linked with Onyedika now for 3-4 weeks, maybe a bit longer than that, and yet still nothing. And I just think that we dwell on this stuff for too long, to the point where other clubs will come in for him, and then suddenly he'll up the price, and then suddenly he's out. We just can't afford him for whatever. And it's just always the way. West Ham have had these opportunities so many times over the years to sign players and act quick, but they don't do it. They don't do it. And
I did read one article
if that one didn't happen.
I did read one article about Onyedika. Didn't really want to quote it, but I will. And that was about he might turn down. There was one of the big Serie A teams. It was interesting. Can't remember which one it was, but apparently he would much prefer a move to the Premier League, and he's in favour of West Ham, right? So that's good. That's good.
Providing, of course, there aren't other big
fan of the show, Chris, and he's watched you talking about him. You know, he wants to come.
He wants Onyedika wants to come. Fuck off, Gal. Honestly, what are you doing? What are you doing? Don't. I know what you're doing, mate. Seriously,
it's an X-rated show here on the Bobby Moore Stand tonight. Sorry, double on.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm kind of, I don't know. I just feel that one's not going to come, Gal.
Yeah.
Sorry, no pun intended there. I don't think he's going to. I didn't mean to do it. But yeah, I don't think he's going to join West Ham. I just don't see it happening, mate. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But that ultimately, despite the fact that I'm not going to be negative this month, I'm not.
No, I'm not
going to be. If I am, tell me. But like I said before, I think I'm trying to put things into perspective and being realistic based on where we are as a club and what we have, the owners, everything. And I want to go into the start of the new season feeling a bit of not necessarily optimism, but not feeling negative about something that I spend a lot of money and time doing. That's what I don't want. So yeah, I'm going to refuse to go down that boat until if it gets really bad. Then I probably will do, because I'm only human.
I think look, we did it last season. We lasted longer than most, to be honest, around Lopetegui. We gave him a fair old crack, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
I think we gave up at about 13 games. We said we were going to give him 10, and then his dad passed away, didn't he? So we sort of gave him another few to see if it settled down, and just got worse.
We gave him up to the Leicester game, actually. I think that was the one. It was just like, oh my God, you can't.
This is the problem. If we have a bad start, then, and we have got some tough games at the beginning, if we have a bad start, people will start including his record from last season into the games this season and saying, you know, what does that look like? They'll do that immediately. You know,
you can't. You can't compare like that.
Of course, you can't. It's irrelevant. It'd be a different team.
Different team. I mean, you know, different coach, different player. I mean, there's so many different variables here. So don't get me wrong. We've all done it. I mean, everyone does it. Sky does it. We do compare. But ultimately, does it actually serve much of a purpose? I don't see the point of looking back all the time. I don't, and I'm sick to the teeth of fans, supporters, like mentioned previous managers. It doesn't matter anymore. We can only think forward and move forward as a club now. So, like I say, it doesn't. Oh yeah, well, who did better at that time of this many games played?
It's my new season resolution, Chris, is to not mention the M word. I'm not going to go back there again.
There's no point, mate. And I'll tell you what, one thing, Mr. M, I think he's going to find it very difficult next season.
I do,
because going into a new stadium is no easy thing.
A lot of money, increased ticket prices. He needs to hit the ground running. He really does. I'm jealous of their stadium, though. Really jealous.
Let's just kind of switch gears a little bit on this, Gal, because I'm interested to get your take on this. Now, I know that we're obviously relatively early in, well, not early into the transfer window as such, but it's still a fair way away until we actually start the season. But based on what you think and how things are going to transpire with regards to transfers, and I know we're not Mystic Meg or anything like that, but where do you think, realistically, who do you think is going to get relegated next season? And where do you think, based on a lot of the noise, a lot of the news that we're hearing about potential transfers at West Ham, where we will finish as it stands right now?
I think, if I'm being honest, I think Sunderland will definitely struggle. There's no two ways about it. I think from the other two that were promoted, I think we might get a surprise of one of them, right? I think you know, Leeds have got money, so have Burnley. They've both lost key players though who helped them get promoted, especially Leeds. So I think Leeds might struggle to, you know, firstly they've got the only chance you've got is if you keep your team together and you add quality to it. Then you could get a bit of continuity, and you need that continuity. I think if you start taking away key parts that made you successful last year, first of all, the other players lose their confidence a little bit sometimes, and then you bring new players in who do or don't fit, then it's like the signings have got to be successful, otherwise you're fucked, right? But same story with us. I think you'll see Brentford tumble down the league without Frank.
Yeah, I would agree. And also they're in, slight danger of actually losing some of the better players as well. I also think Nottingham Forest are going to struggle a little bit. I think last season, I don't say it's a one-hit wonder. Well, I like Forest. I do like them as a club.
Me too.
But I think they're going to struggle next season. I think Crystal Palace, I mean, they had a fantastic year last year, but I think they're going to struggle. They're going to be brought down to earth a little bit because, bearing in mind that they've now got European football to contend with, in addition to the fact that there's a strong likelihood they may lose some of their best players. They might lose, Eze, for instance.
Yeah, they will.
They could find it difficult. They're maybe 1 or 2 injuries away of being in a bit of a dire situation as a squad unless they make signings. So I don't necessarily think all the 3 promoted teams will all go down. I don't. I actually think that probably 2 out of the 3 will go down.
Yeah,
I'll make you right on the Sunderland one. I think Sunderland will finish rock bottom in my opinion. And I think Leeds will go down as well.
Exactly for the reason you just said about Brentford, Chris. Spurs have got Champions League to contend with. Yeah. And even when they didn't, I mean, they had a really poor Europa League to contend with. Their league form was utter tosh, wasn't it? They've got to buy players.
But they do have a better manager, a manager that's going to make them more harder to beat and concede less goals as well than what they had under Postecoglou.
But does he have the parts he needs to deliver his system? And will the Spurs fans like his system? Especially if it don't work straight away.
Yeah, I mean, I'll answer questions, right? We don't know. We'll have to wait and see how the season plays out. But I think that the bottom for me, I think 2 teams that I would imagine that will go down would be Sunderland and Leeds. Yeah. I actually think that Burnley will stay up. I do. I think first off, they've got a very, and you always say this as well, from a West Ham fan's perspective, we talk about building from the back. And I saw your video the other day, making sure you've got a good goalkeeper and you've got a good defense, and you can kind of build, right? If you look at Burnley, they've got a solid defense, but they've conceded 16 goals last season. That's phenomenal. Like 16, 17 goals last season. In addition to the fact they've also just signed Kyle Walker as well. So he's going to be their right back next season. I know he's getting old, but he's still a very, very good player. He's still very, he's still very fast. He's got all the attributes to still do a decent job in the Prem. So I think Burnley will stay up. And then for me, that third position could be, and I hate to say it, Gal, it could be a West Ham. It could be,
yeah. If we get the signings wrong, Chris, or we play silly buggers like we kind of are at the moment. If we continue playing silly buggers, it could be a big problem for us.
Let me ask you a question. One more question, yeah? When we talk about relegation, would you take a 17th place finish?
A 17th place finish?
Yeah, if you could guarantee safety.
I don't think we know to take it. Look, I'll take any staying up, to be honest, because I think it's pivotal in... I don't think we can afford to play on margins like that. I think we need to be well clear of that relegation. And I mean 4 or 5 places clear of it, right? We need to be comfortable and getting wins. We cannot be one of these teams, because you know what kills you and you get relegated is goals. If you're not scoring goals, you're going to get relegated.
Oh, absolutely. Just going back to one of these comments here, right, from go on. GJ Thomas, right? So the Premier League is different. Burnley will absolutely struggle, and I think someone also said that they're slow. Okay, yeah, they are slow, but look, I'm basing this off the fact that I suspect that they will sign players. I think they will do. When you bring in players, right? So regardless of the fact that, say, Kyle Walker is getting on a little bit, he's a Premier League winner. He's an England international for much of his career. When you see a team signing players like that, a team that has got a very strong defence, even in the Championship, I think that's quite an attractive trait for maybe other players to come and say, do you know what? That might give me the ability to go forward and score goals. So they might sign more attacking players that can make them a team that actually is not only hard to beat, but would also become a bit more faster because they'll bring in better players. I can understand why they might be attractive to maybe untested foreigners that want to come over here to the Prem. I can.
What do you reckon about? I mean, what's your expectation? If we, assuming we get this almost right, this transfer window, we sign a lot of the parts we need. Where would your expectation be? I'll give you mine, right? My expectation would be probably 13th or 14th. It wouldn't be any higher than that. It wouldn't be top half. No way.
Exactly the same. Honestly, exactly the same. And it sounds so unambitious to say I would take 14th place finish now. I would do.
It's a journey. It's a journey, right? This season is about
it's a project,
rebuilding a functional team for the Premier League because we don't have one.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, mate. I would say 13th, 14th would be I would say a good season, because it all does depend on who we sign ultimately. Then maybe I might change my opinion on where I think we should finish. But if you're asking me now what my expectations are, would be staying up. So I would say honestly 16th, 17th. But if we do sign certain players, then I'd like to think we could finish a few places higher than that, say 13th, 14th. And anything above that would be amazing. Anything above that, I have no expectations for it at all. Maybe they'll surprise us, Gal. Maybe, just maybe, we'll go into this season with such low expectations that they could well go out and surprise us.
That's what we should have. We should have low expectations, and any win is a bonus, and fucking respect the win. Don't do what we did last season against Leicester and go, that was a boring win. A win is a win. Every win is valuable this season. The style with which it was accomplished really don't fucking matter.
You know, like when we got promoted, when we had the likes of Rio Coca, Mullins, all that lot, and we got promoted, and we thought, you know what, it might be a bit of a struggle next season. We signed a couple of players like Yossi Benayoun, people like that, and we finished 9th. We got to an FA Cup final, right? Now, we never in a million years expected that to happen, right? I'll be honest with you now. Whenever we've been promoted, I thought, right, the main objective is to stay up. And if we stay up, I'll accept it now. 17th, whatever place it would be, that means we stay up, I'd accept it. That season was different. I would love nothing more. Of course I would, right? But I'd love it if West Ham could just go out and surprise all of us. You know, completely exceed on our expectations. Some fans still have expectations that we should still be in the top 10.
It drives me mad.
I don't have that.
It drives me mad. It's like they still think that we're you know, because we finished 14th last year, that we should finish 10th this year. I mean, it's a fucking massive rebuild job. We ain't got a team at the moment capable of staying up. We haven't.
Yeah, I was watching you know, like on TikTok you get those things where it's kind of like blind ranking teams where they're going to finish in the Premier League, and I saw one earlier today and it was a West Ham fan by all accounts, and he had West Ham down as 6th. I was like, fucking hell, 6th. Like, I mean, so I don't know if it's like I don't know, just it is blind optimism, but is it just a little bit of stupidity there to think that we've got a chance of finishing 6th? I mean, I'm sorry, I'd hate to say it, but I think it kind of is. Because we don't have the quality to finish 6th. No, we don't. We just don't.
I mean, for God's sake, don't think about Europe. Even if we started well, don't start thinking about Europe and get all grumpy when it goes wrong. You got to remember that the season goes in phases, doesn't it? Sometimes you start really well, and then you get a bit better after about 10 games, or you drop off a bit after about 10 games, and you sort of come again. You know, it's just I just want people to be patient and not, after a couple of defeats or bad performances, just going, shit, you know what I mean? Anyway, but it is what it is.
Calling out Claire's comment here, she's put down, it's called being positive, right? So I think Claire said what? So I reckon we could get 10 or 12. Claire, I love it, and it's not about not being positive. I think, and I'm not being negative by all accounts. I'm just trying to be realistic, and for me, I'm okay with that. I don't expect anything more than that based on where we are as a club, based on the quality we have, and potentially what we might sign. So for me, I just think, 13th, 14th, like you go.
So all these players, Habib Diarra, but you know, Enzo, Lafi, a decent Lafi as well, right? And Noah Siddiqui, Union Saint Gillois. That's like those cigarettes, isn't it? Gillois.
Gillois. Those are the ones without the filters on, aren't they?
That's right.
Gillois. Is it Gillois? Yeah.
Gillois. I thought it was Gillois. Oh, whatever. But anyway, I thought it was Gillois. Is it not? Is it Gillois? It might be. But anyway, I think like, I mean, I haven't heard really of any of them. You ain't going to get 3 out of 3, right? When you sign, you definitely don't get 3 out of 3. That's why we need to sign quite a few, because not everybody's going to work. So Sunderland were a very poor. They lost quite a few games and somehow got promoted by the playoffs. The two at the top, Burnley and Leeds, they barely lost a game between them and scored hatfuls of goals. Sunderland didn't.
But yeah, you know, I mean, a lot could happen between now and the start of the season. I mean, you're right. Sunderland have lost some good players. They've obviously lost Bellingham, who's obviously gone to Dortmund, and he looks like he might be stepping into his brother's shoes now because he's been well in pre-season.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it's hard to predict now. We should have a proper prediction when it comes to the start of the season, when we know exactly what our squad is. Then we can maybe have a bit more of a realistic,
that's a sensible thing to do, which is why I proposed Happy July, because what's the point until we know who we got, right?
I get it. It's just
I'll do that up until the start of the season, actually.
It's just interesting to kind of get our opinions, and also, you know, the chat's opinions in relation to where they think that we would finish next season based on where we are as a club now versus where we are as a club, say, a month and a half from now. It'll be interesting to see what happens, because that's the pivotal time to, you know, create change.
Delta, Chris. We can assess the Delta.
Yeah, absolutely.
So look, that is us done. I think we've gone through every bloody player on the planet in true ITK style, ain't that right, Chris? And yeah, I think we the time is it's time to be positive, time to look forward to all these glorious new players. These world beaters are going to walk in, and hopefully get 1 or 2 of them before that American tour. As someone said in the chat here earlier, I'm genuinely looking forward to seeing Potsy come home and play in that pre-season over in the States. Wouldn't it be brilliant if he suddenly fitted in?
I have a distinct feeling that he will go. I really do. And I think Potter might even think and know that himself, I hope, because there's nothing better than seeing a youngster come through and cement his place in the first team. So, here's to hoping.
Well, look, bad news sells, Jay. That is true. And I think a lot of people have figured that out on social media. And so that's why there's all horror stories. Everything from fucking AI to West Ham, right? It's doom. You're doomed. Everything's turned to shit. Everything's like, it's all black and white. It's either great, brilliant, or it's shit. There's no in between. But I'm afraid there is a lot of nuance for West Ham. There is.
But just to repeat what I said earlier on, Gav, just to reiterate, right? Negativity breeds negativity. And this is no good as a fan base if we're constantly being negative all the time. No. I can't keep doing it.
Go to games, right? Especially if you go to games.
Yeah, but I just can't keep doing it because it's not good for my mental health. Don't get me wrong. I'm not being. That's not mean to say that I'm going to be incredibly optimistic in terms of where we're going to finish and we're going to start performing incredibly well and blah blah blah. But I don't see the point of it. I just don't see the point of it. I'm going to go to games. I'm going to cheer on the players, support them as much as I can do, and sing my fucking heart out, right? And if that's not enough and we can't get results, then so be it. But you know what? The reality is, like I said before, mate, there is so much more to life than getting wound up and vented on social media and just getting pissed off all the time. Yes, of course I'm not happy with where we are as a club, but
totally agree.
I think we just kind of need to. It's a period of change for us right now. It is, and I think we just need to kind of be realistic in terms of where we are, and hope, hope that we can get some good signings in between now and the start of the season. If we can do that, hopefully there'll be some element of optimism as a fan base, and that's what I hope. But I'm not going to start ranting now. I'm not. I did a bit of it last week.
Let's leave it there because I said to Lisa, I'll be in the ass before 10. It's fucking 12 minutes past. I failed again. I keep estimating how long it's going to take me to do a show. I'm always late.
Yeah, can I just say something, right? I want to shout out my missus. She put, you watch this anyway, but it's her birthday today. It's her birthday today, and I've been out here as well for like an hour and 40 minutes. So I feel really bad. I need to go in as well. So I need to
have a medal putting up with him. You know what I mean?
Oh, you want to mate? Why'd you have to say that? There's no need for that, gal. I've got your short birthday coming up soon, right? And I've actually got something for you. I've got something for you, and
very nice.
I think, well, this is the kind of guy I am, and you say comments like that make me sound like I'm an arse,
No, you're definitely not an arse, Chris. No,
but I've got a cracking. She might change your mind. You might say I'm an arse when you see this present. But anyway, we'll see. We will see.
Ooh.
Maybe we should do like an unveiling. In fact, maybe we need to. I don't do with wrapping.
Unveil my birthday present.
I don't do wrapping up. I'm going to wrap your present up. I'm going to wrap it up, and we can unveil it on a live show. That's what we'll do. Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah. All right. Well, we're done. Thank you everybody for the comments in the chat. Thanks, Claire and Bodger. I've grown a beard watching this. Cheers, Bodger. Sorry, it has gone on a long time. See you all soon. Give me your rights.